Go. All right. Welcome, everyone. As you come into the webinar, we are going to give it just a minute while everyone gets settled. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you. This is awesome. I'm seeing the numbers climb. Welcome. As you join, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're joining from, and what your role is. We are so excited to talk to you today and show you what to look for in a smarter diagramming solution. So as you're joining, please introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name, where you're joining from, and what your role is. Welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh, awesome. Welcome, Ed. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome. Hi, Seattle, Canada. New York, Oregon, Canada, Bangalore. I've been there. It's an awesome place. Boise, Idaho, Arizona. Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. I love to see that in the chat. Awesome. London. There we go. Tampa, Florida. New Delhi. Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. And again, we are so excited to talk to you today and show you what to look for in a smarter diagramming solution. So to kick us off, we are going to introduce ourselves so you know who you are talking with today. My name is Morgan Skidmore. I'm a learning experience designer here at Lucid. And what that means is I help create the content that goes into Lucid Training Lab. So that is our on-demand content that helps customers to integrate the Lucid Suite into their workflows, and you can fit that learning into the small blocks of time that you have. So if you've earned a whiteboarding foundations badge or a diagramming foundations badge, that is me. You may have seen my face before. So happy to be here with you and nerd out about Lucidchart because I truly love it. And I am so excited to be joined by two of our product managers here at Lucid. So first, Chloe, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm joining from Salt Lake today, but the first two responses in the chat for where folks are coming from were San Francisco and Virginia, which are the other two places I've spent my life. So fun to be here with all of you today and super excited to dive into Lucidchart. And I'll kick it over to Blake.
Yeah, likewise, equally excited to be here with you all. So I'm Blake. I'm also a product manager. Work very closely with Chloe. Been at Lucid for about 3 years and kind of based in the New York City area. So if there's anybody joining us from that area, welcome. Glad to have you. But excited to get into everything today.
Yay, awesome. It looks like, Blake, we do have some New York here in the chat. That is awesome. Again, if you're just joining, please introduce yourself in the chat. We want to know who you are, where you're from, what your role is. Before we really dive in, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items. So this webinar is being recorded. I'm going to say that one more time because we're going to get a lot of questions. You will have access to this webinar afterward because it is being recorded. And you can expect an email with a link to that recording within about a day or two. So it'll be sent to the email that you used to register for this webinar. So again, it is being recorded. You can replay our wonderful voices over and over again if you'd like. The email that you receive will also include some additional resources. So things like a blog post and some more information about our products and how they work together. So we don't want this webinar to just be us talking at you. So I'm loving all the involvement that we're seeing in the chat, and that is fantastic. So we want to hear from you. Share your thoughts as we're going. Amazing. Okay, so cool. Love it. Massachusetts and Tennessee, loving it. Please continue to introduce yourself and send messages back and forth in the chat as we're talking. So if you do happen to have any questions for our Lucid team, shout out to the Lucid team who is in the background. They are waiting and ready to answer any questions that you have. However, we want to reserve the chat for just, the fun banter. And we want to use the Q&A section for questions. So that will help our Lucid team to stay on top of questions and answer as many as we can. So again, use the chat for that fun banter and then use the Q&A for your specific questions. Thank you so much. And then last thing is that live captions are enabled for this webinar. So you can go ahead and turn those on if you would like. All right. Amazing. Boston and New Jersey, we're so happy to have you. Insert fun banter. Thank you. That's awesome. That's the kind of involvement we want. So let's get into it. We are here today to talk about the next generation of diagramming. So I'm sure that most of you have used diagramming tools to map out, processes and systems and other information. If we have any, flowchart nerds out there, swim lane diagram fans, or other visuals, you know that they can be extremely helpful to clarify information and help to align your team. And while there are a lot of diagramming tools out there to choose from, some of them stick to the basics. They don't offer a ton beyond, boxes and arrows, basically what you could draw on a piece of paper. And some tools haven't seen major updates in many years. So in order to work more efficiently and gain valuable insights and push for innovation, you need a diagramming solution that's actually innovative. So a next generation diagramming solution that will take your diagrams from static documents to interactive living documents that practically build themselves. So Chloe and Blake, your teams spend so much time building out intelligent diagramming features. How are you hoping to help organizations with this functionality? Chloe, why don't we start with you?
Morgan, as I speak with our users, I see time and time again that they have so much knowledge tied up in their mind or in systems, but need to get it documented so that they can plan a future state or help align teams around a current understanding. And the thing is, no one wants to spend a lot of time on that documentation step, right? I don't either. We want that to be fast and easy so that we can move on to planning and building the future. And that's exactly what Lucid helps them do. Blake, what would you add?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really being able to help our users and our customers get that quick alignment. That's where as a user myself personally, I've become really reliant on Lucid's products, super integral to my workflow, but really being able to have that real-time collaboration functionality and just being able to have that easily one-click share experience and making sure that the right people have the most up-to-date information to be able to make decisions that much faster and speed up your workflows. It's just endlessly valuable, and it's something that I think we all care very deeply about here at Lucid.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. There are so many benefits to choosing an intelligent diagramming platform, and we want to dive even deeper into that because what does that look like exactly? So today we're going to show you the qualities of a next generation diagramming solution so that you know what to look out for. And since we're from Lucid, it shouldn't be a surprise that Lucidchart possesses all of these qualities. Shameless plug, right? We're talking about intelligent diagramming, and we can't do that without talking about all the things that Lucid can do. So we will take a look at the features in Lucidchart that can help you, just as Chloe and Blake have said, diagram faster and smarter. So Blake, do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about some of the features that our teams have worked on shipping that's really focused on getting you to value faster and being able to speed up those creation workflows for you when you're working within our product. So one of those features that we released is quick diagramming. And essentially, if we go in, we want to kind of show you a demo and a walkthrough of what exactly this looks like. So right here, we have a very handy dandy template from our very extensive collection of templates within Lucidchart and Lucid Spark. But right here, we have an example that's kind of walking through a sales flow. And it's pretty simple. But in the past, it may have been a bit more challenging to kind of modify and extend those templates, whereas the quick diagramming functionality really helps with the alignment. So kind of stepping through what exactly this experience looks like. Let's say, for example, we want to kind of build out the customer workflow within that swim lane. The first thing we can do is utilize our new expand tool. So the way you would access that within Lucidchart is by clicking X on your hotkey. Just make sure that no content is selected and should open up this new cursor for you. And you'll see you have kind of these grid lines. So what you can do here now is you can kind of click and drag and say, hey, I actually need a bit more space for the customer swim lane. And you see that it very seamlessly keeps the shape and the structure of your document or your template with ease. So no more bendy, crooked lines, things like that. And death by 1,000 paper cuts. It really helps make sure that the structural integrity of the documents that you're building is upheld. But that's just a piece of the puzzle here. Another great addition is being able to kind of actually build out a flow pretty quickly. So what we can do here is select the customer buys product process block. And let's say we want to add a couple of different payment options on. So the first functionality that you see here is as we hover over these line buds, you'll see this nice grid ghost shape preview. And essentially what this is doing is showing you a preview of where Lucid will intelligently lay out the shape for you in the flow. So you have peace of mind knowing, hey, I just need to know essentially the structure or the organization of my document, and we'll make sure that it's formatted in a nice way. So we go ahead and add that. And once again, we can create a bit more space. And let's say we have probably a couple of different payment options we could make. So let's go ahead and add 2. That's perfect. And you see, once again, it added that branching functionality. So it didn't necessarily just overlap the shape. Lucid was able to recognize, hey, we have a shape down here. Let's go ahead and place it here in a nice structured way. So it flows very seamlessly. So we have this cash and credit flow, and we can go ahead and connect that into the other credit form, and we're off to the races. So you can really see how quickly you can kind of build out these comprehensive flows and get kind of done with your workflow or the problems that you're thinking all that much faster. And that's just part of the creation flow. But we also know that you're probably not working alone at your business. Maybe you are, and that's wonderful. But I know here at Lucid, we definitely value collaboration pretty heavily. And we have a lot of different ways to kind of bring your peers on your documents and being able to get that feedback that you need to kind of speed up your decision making. So what we can do next now to kind of up level this experience is utilizing some of our quick shape banks. So we see here on that left panel, the way you would access that. So there is actually an icon relatively further down on the left side, right there. Perfect. You can click that. And then let's bring out the sticky note bank. And what is really wonderful about this is it's actually a living, breathing thing on your document where your peers can come in and they don't need to know what shape library or where the sticky notes are at. They can easily just drag and drop those straight from the canvas, which is super, super helpful. And let's say there's something critical maybe Morgan needs from me. So Morgan can go into that sticky and utilize kind of the app mention experience and say, hey, for these updates, it looks great, or hey, it needs feedback. And then I will get that notification just to make sure that that communication, that iterative cycle is just very fluid and seamless for you. So those are a couple of the areas that we've been expanding. We're pretty excited about. So please let us know your thoughts and feedback. And we definitely hope that this helps.
So cool. Amazing, Blake. So makes it so easy to involve other people. Like you said, if they're not as familiar with, the Lucidchart interface and things like that. Oh, I see the sticky note bank. I add my comments to the diagram. Bada bing, bada boom, easy collaboration and feedback. So seamless. Thank you. You mentioned this, but I will also add that Lucidchart has over 1,000 templates. So a bunch of pre-built shape libraries that can help you get started quickly on a visual that, looks professional and follows the standards of your organization or the standards that you want to set. So now that we are diagramming quickly, Chloe, do you want to take us through the next quality of an intelligent diagramming product?
Morgan, I'd love to. So quick diagramming actually goes hand in hand with our next trait, which is that you need a diagramming solution that can automatically generate visuals from outside data sources that you already have. So this gives you a much faster way to map out the current state of systems, processes, and organizations, and lets you get to the work of optimizing those for the future. So with Lucid, you can generate entity relationship diagrams, org charts, sequence diagrams, and cloud architecture diagrams, all from data you already have. But let's get into it. Let's see that actually happen in the product. So we're going to do an example of an entity relationship diagram import together. We'll walk through an example where we import a quiz bowl schema. So if we have any trivia champions in the chat, which I just feel like we do, make yourself known. We'd love to hear from you. So Morgan has pulled up a document for us already that already has the entity relationship shape library loaded. So I'll have her go ahead and click import. And we have this option to choose between a number of database management systems that we might be using. For our demo today, we'll be using Postgres, so we'll select that. And you can see the first thing Lucid does is provide to you a query that you can run on your database, which will give you exactly the output we need for this import. That is so many prepositional phrases, but it's pretty quick, right? So into your database and back out. So let's go ahead and click next. We've already done this step, and we're going to paste the output as plain text in our case. So Morgan's going to go ahead and paste what our query resulted in and click import. And just like that, we have access to all of our data in the left-hand panel. So I'll have Morgan drag out 3 tables so that we can see a little bit more about what this does. So the events table, the event team table, and the team table. So you can see, for one, Lucid has all of these entities already formatted. So you've got all of the attributes listed, you have primary and foreign keys labeled, you know what data type each attribute has. That's all awesome and has saved a lot of time, but it's not just that. As Morgan dragged out those tables, we also saw that Lucidchart automatically drew these connector lines between them. And not just that, Lucid also included the cardinality. So we can see where there's a one-to-many relationship, a many-to-one relationship, and already have this understanding of our data. And I'll add yet one more thing, which is that now that you've very quickly understood the current state of the system, you can work in Lucid to imagine a future state, make changes to these tables and how they're connected. And you can then export this data and update it directly in your database so that you can go through the whole workflow and have it sped up so much from the time in Lucid.
Love it. I'm just going to double down on that, Chloe. The fact that this isn't static, right? We talked about that being an important aspect of an intelligent diagramming product, is that once this is generated onto the canvas, just like you said, you can edit the lines, you can change whatever you need to, produce a future state. That is so awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any Quiz Bowl champions in the chat. I thought for sure we did. That's funny. All right. So also, with the rise of AI, let me move here. With the rise of AI, I'm sure many of you have had, exposure to AI being integrated with the programs that you use often. We have to be looking out for solutions that use artificial intelligence to assist with diagramming. So if you attended our Lately at Lucid launch last month, shout out in the chat if you were able to attend our Lately at Lucid launch last month. If you were there, you heard about our new AI-generated diagrams. So what that means is using AI prompts in Lucidchart, you can auto-generate flowcharts or sequence diagrams, class diagrams, and entity relationship diagrams. So let me just show you a quick demo. In the interest of time, I'm going to show you a quick demo right here on the screen of how you can do this. So you'll just type in your prompt, you'll click generate, and the diagram will be produced automatically for you. You can use just about anything as input. And of course, you can use a simple description of the diagram you're looking for, but you can also bring in notes from a discovery call or part of a meeting transcript where someone was describing a process, or even just copy and paste pages of technical documentation, put them into the prompt area, and have Lucid generate your diagram for you. And even better, once this diagram is generated, you can continue to iterate on it. So say the first thing that Lucid produces doesn't quite meet exactly what you need, you can continue to iterate by adding additional instructions or, please adjust this, add an extra field for this, add another shape for this. And it is truly amazing and very similar to the ERD example that Chloe gave. This is not static, so you can also adjust the colors and the lines and make the diagram your own. So really speeding up that time, the goal of generate a diagram is to get you 80 to 90% of the way there, and that just speeds up your time to a finished product by a significant amount. So it's something that I really love. I think it's so cool. I love to mess around with it. So you've seen it on the screen here, but we encourage you to go experiment and experience it for yourself because it really is so cool. It's so fun. However, that is not all. So Chloe, do you want to tell us what's coming?
As the theme of this webinar. That is not all. I love to comment in the chat about worry that we're going to drive project managers out of work. I promise we will not, but I do sure hope we make your work more pleasant. So I'm super excited to give you all a preview of a new feature coming soon to Lucidchart called Diagram as Code. So some of you may feel familiar with that phrase. For some of you, it may be new. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been trying to diagram your database structure or your code and just felt exhausted and spent way too much time configuring those lines and relationships and making sure everything's aligned? I know I have. So for you, you may love the thought of creating diagrams from a simple coding language that will then generate your diagram with industry standard formatting for you. And that's what Diagram as Code can do. Our teams at Lucid are actively working to support Mermaid, which is a specific diagramming language that supports nearly 24 diagram types and data visualizations, including flowchart, ERD, sequence, C4, and Gantt charts. So here's a preview on the screen of what this could look like for you in the Lucid suite. I do have to caveat, this is an active development, so some of the visuals may change, but we cannot wait to give you access to this within Lucid.
Chloe, I'm seeing some excitement in the chat about Mermaid.
Yay!
Which is so fun to see. Great. Amazing. So with the last 2 points, we have talked about how intelligent diagramming solutions can help you build diagrams faster and sometimes automatically. But once you've created those visuals, you might want to layer data on top of them in order to make smarter decisions. So this functionality can help you better understand potential areas of improvement within a process, or your team's performance during a sprint, and so much more. But this all starts with the ability to add data to your diagrams. So this is another thing I love to nerd out about. So I'm going to show you an example, and this comes from our Intelligent Diagramming badge, which you can access through Lucid Training Labs. And this is the example that you run through in the course. So as you can see here, this is an order fulfillment process. So think of a manufacturing process, and it happens to be a mountain bike manufacturing or a mountain bike company. And so what we've done is we've imported a data set that contains information about the standardized time score for how long each of these steps takes within their business process. And so what we've done is we've attached data to these shapes. And you can see when I click on the shapes, there is then the data attached, and we can access that from over here in the panel. But how do we do that? So the way that you can do that is once you have imported your data, again, just over here in the side panel, you'll see the data panel. You'll be able to follow the prompts. You can add Google Sheets, Excel, CSV, import your data, and then you'll go to your shapes. And I'm just going to drag out a simple process shape for the example. And once I have my shape, I'm going to then choose a line of data, and I'm going to just drag and drop the data onto the shape. Now you can see that it doesn't, the shape doesn't really say anything yet. So I want to add some important context. And so I'm going to add what the shape's name is to the shape. And so now I can see, okay, this step is named order creation. I have my standardized time score and my date range attached. So now I'm able to visualize this process, and each step I click on contains that standardized time score. So just adding a deeper layer to your visualization. And that is something I absolutely love. Also, a shout out, because if you are interested in a bidirectional sync of Lucidchart to your Google Sheets or to your Excel, that is something that, again, is in beta. And if you are interested, then you can access it's called a data trusted user group in the Lucid community, and you can get access to that and experiment with that. What that means is that your data is automatically updating, and so you don't have to worry about discrepancies between where you're keeping your data in your spreadsheets and how it is then connected to Lucid. They're just automatically aligned and synced. So really, really cool functionality. Along with that, so we can do adding data to our diagrams, and we can automatically then interpret that data. So Blake, will you talk to us about what Lucid has built to interpret data? So it's really cool that we can layer it on top.
Yeah.
What else can we do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm data linking's #1 fan, and then data linking coupling that with conditional formatting is truly mind-blowing. Something that I think Lucid and Lucidchart has done an especially good job at is building the data features in a way that they're super compatible with each other. It's almost like my metaphor is it's kind of like a bunch of Lego blocks where you kind of can fit them together to kind of make this magical experience. And really what our goal is to really help make this data super actionable for you and your teams. And being able to layer on that data linking data with conditional formatting is a super powerful way to easily make quicker decisions and really understand what's the lay of the land, where are we trying to go. So let's go ahead and jump into an example here. And we're going to run again with this mountain bike example. So as you can see, and just as a reminder, the underlying data set has been imported either through Google Sheets, CSV, or Excel. And what we can do now is say like, hey, actually, I have this data. And instead of like just attaching it to some of these shapes, I want to actually be able to see this data in action and have that quick heuristic of what is the performance of my manufacturing processes. And so what we can do now is we can click the magic wand up top, and that is essentially our conditional formatting panel. So we can go ahead and essentially what you can do is go ahead and click into this. So we've gone ahead and preloaded this rule, but you can go ahead and kind of replicate this on your own. So once you go and create into this rule, what you can see here is this is kind of an if-then logical statement, if you're familiar with that language, but you can actually go and create conditions based off of the data that you're accessing. So if you go ahead and click that drop down that you're on right here, there's a number of different methods or criteria that we could build these rules or insights off of. Right now, we are using shape data because that is what is specific to our manufacturing process. And then we can go ahead and say, it automatically pulls in these fields. So remember from the data set that we had, there is that standardized time score, which kind of shows essentially what is the time it takes along each step of the process. And then go ahead and select our values and what our logical statements are. So then at that point, we can go ahead and essentially choose between these different styling options. So right here, we have a bunch of icons. There's also options like choosing the shape style and doing some of these dynamic shapes, and we will get to those in a bit. But for the sake of this example, let's just stick with some of the icons. So once we've gone through this, all you have to do is hit save, and then let's go ahead and toggle that rule back on. And right away, you kind of get this almost up-leveled view of that process flow. Whereas now we can quickly see where in this journey are we kind of lacking? Where is the steps that we need to invest a bit more of? How can we improve these processes? So just off a quick view, it's the manufacturing, the completing, and some of the shipping within the US. So it's just another way of being able to pair that imported data with some of the other features that Lucid offers that really makes this holistic, robust, and just really actionable experience that I find to be very, very powerful. Awesome. And then, yes, so I kind of gave the teaser of like, we'll get to more. So this is the more. So just to kind of demonstrate like how we've built these in a way where they really are like your Lego blocks, that you can kind of do anything with them. I want to run with a completely different use case. Whereas in this scenario, we were working essentially with some folks on kind of figuring out what are their org processes and where do they have certain vacancies and things like that. And as you can see, they didn't really know where things were allocated, which positions were vacant, where were managers kind of over-indexed on their time from having too many direct reports. And what they were able to do was using some of that imported data, create this org chart, and then using this conditional formatting rules and some of the other the formulas that we offer as well to be able to have those quick heuristics where you can kind of get that holistic view, that bird's eye view to say like, I easily know now we have 2 vacant positions and we're about to be posting another one. So it's really kind of that quick touch point and that quick heuristic where it's like, peace of mind. I know where things are at. I know exactly what's needed to be done. So again, I hope you guys are excited about it as I am. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart, but I love it.
Amazing. Awesome. And along with org charts, do you want to speak to the group view, how you can kind of sort your people based on their different groups?
Yeah, absolutely. So to access this group view, so we'll go ahead and click essentially this frame, and you'll see in the right-hand panel, if this doesn't pop up for you automatically, sometimes that happens, but you can access it from this icon all the way over here. And then within this layout view, you can easily click this group view. So we can go ahead and do that. And then you can click through the next, and it'll take you through this flow where it's like, it's really helpful and powerful for org charts, especially where it's like it helps you kind of break down your org, how you're resource across different things. So like, let's say we'll do role as an example, or system title. Yeah, we'll roll with it. Go for it. And then we can create the group view. And then boom. And as you can see, it also, the magical thing is it creates these group views by whatever category that you want or are interested in. So it's almost pivotable if you're familiar with the pivot tables concept. And on top of that, it was able to pull some of the conditional formatting rules along. So you're always ensured that your data is kind of always accurate and well represented. So
That's awesome. Pivotable. I like that word. It's pivotable. Awesome. I love it. And especially because we're all nerding out about the conditional formatting. Love that that pulls over as well. So cool. Okay. So we've talked a lot about the data and more the quantifiable, spreadsheets that we might have. But what if some of the data that you have is not already, arranged nicely in a spreadsheet? For example, you might need to make sense of, a ton of sticky notes that are all over a digital whiteboard from a team brainstorm. What do you do with this qualitative input? So we have an answer for that. Chloe, do you want to bring it on home with this last consideration?
I do. I'm so excited to chat about this. And partially, it's similar to what Blake was just talking about. So you need functionality that will take you from free-form thoughts and help you start organizing them in a useful way to determine next steps. So for this one, we're going to turn away from traditional diagramming. And I saw a question in the chat about, what's this? We have boards, we have charts, what's going on here, right? So we'll address the value of our product Lucidspark, which is a virtual whiteboard, which helps you when you have those free-form thoughts, right? Early in a project, when things are just coming together, you can get them organized in Lucidspark. And later, when you're ready to layer in that data and have a lot of detail, that's where Lucidchart really comes in. So for a minute, let's pivot. We like the word pivot today. Let's pivot to Lucidspark. And let's say you've done a team brainstorming session on financial planning. So we're showing that here. And I know we got a request earlier to zoom in. Yeah, Morgan, thank you so much. Perfect. So you can see a team has come in and they've all put in ideas about what we should be thinking about in this area. And it's grouped by person. But now we want to make sense of that, right? So one way you can do that is to go through and add labels to categorize the different ideas. So a lot of these have already been labeled. I see asset audit isn't. Morgan, could you go in and add the audit label to this asset audit sticky? Thank you so much. So you can see in just 2 quick clicks, Morgan added that label, and now all of our stickies are labeled. And since it would be a lot easier to talk about these by category than just by person, right? Let's go ahead and ask Lucid to reorganize these for us. So Morgan, if you'd go ahead and select those stickies, we will have Lucid gather and sort these by the labels that we've just put on all of those stickies, by the tags. And voila, everything is now organized by the topics that our team has addressed, and we can go through these item by item and discuss where the team should head next. So I love that. I call my freeform thoughts spaghetti thoughts, and it's so helpful to me to get these down on paper and not on paper, on Canvas, and see them in a more organized way. So while we're talking about the benefits of the Canvas for team brainstorms, let's also talk about visual activities. Visual activities are customizable interactive activities that you can use to capture feedback and input from the team. So as a demo, Morgan's going to go ahead and take this visual activity about chocolates, which I think is brave because we have a lot of people on the call who are going to disagree with her opinions on chocolate bars. So you go ahead and put it in the chat if she's answering in a way you would not. But as she goes, I will tell you, something awesome about visual activities is that what we're seeing of Morgan's screen is what everyone on the team who's taking a visual activity would see, meaning everyone gets a chance to answer this question themselves and kind of have an honest moment to stack rank these options themselves. And now it goes without saying that you all are solving harder problems than what chocolate bar to pick, right? I saw your intros in the chat. We have architects, we have leaders, we have product owners, we have analysts. You all are asking really hard questions with your teams, but I hope you can imagine that with a visual activity like this, you could also stack rank projects or estimate the size of tasks and any number of decisions that your team needs to make together. So Morgan has answered. Twix is at the top. Let's go ahead and submit, Morgan, and we'll take a look together at the results of this visual activity. So again, everyone gets the chance to answer these individually, and now we can go ahead and view results. So we had 11 participants in this visual activity, and as we might expect, there's a variety of opinions about chocolates. So as our first tool to understand this information, Morgan, would you click on relative ranking in the top left of your screen? So you can see the first thing Lucid will do for us is actually stack rank all of this crazy information and help us just to see, okay, at the very least, we know no one is here for Hershey's. You post in the chat if you're here for Hershey's, but no one in our visual activity was, right? There's clarity of alignment on one point. There are also some chocolate bars, though, where there's a little less alignment. And Morgan, would you actually hover over Toblerone for me at the top? The way that I love to use visual activities is you can see that as Morgan has hovered, little icons have appeared all over the ranking to show where different individuals ranked that chocolate bar. And I want to take this example back to projects, right? If you come to your team and are stack ranking the importance of projects and you see results like this is such an important indicator that we're ready for a team discussion, right? Someone has ranked this project really low and says it's not important for us to work on, and other people have ranked it really high and said it's urgent. And we need to figure out as a team what different information we have that is causing us to have that lack of alignment. So what I love most about visual activities is that they are a great launching point for discussions and an identifier of where we have alignment. Hershey's, not that good. And where we don't have alignment, Toblerone. Let's talk about it.
That's awesome. We have a comment in the chat, Chloe, that says, I can see this being useful for prioritizing backlog stories. Absolutely. That's
absolutely.
Great perfect. Oh, we have some almond joy.
We won't be removing anyone from the webinar though for liking almond joy.
And we have some love for Dove, so that's pretty funny. Awesome. Thank you all so much for your participation. That was really fun. As Chloe said, you can use it for much more serious and mission critical things, but it's kind of fun just to do an icebreaker like that every once in a while. So we definitely have those available as well. And one last call out is that if you do want to keep track of what everyone has said and continue the discussion, you can add your results to the board. So again, it just pastes your visual activity right there. All right. And with that, thank you so much, Chloe and Blake. So these are the qualities that you need from a next generation diagramming solution, is something that can speed up the process of diagramming through expert recommendations or automatically create visuals from outside data sources, which we saw with, generated diagram and the ERD example. You can layer data on top of visuals, which we saw with, data linking and conditional formatting, which automatically interprets that data. And then just as Chloe showed us, automatically aggregating input and ideas. So less quantitative and more qualitative, and Lucid also provides a solution for that. So if you're already using Lucidchart, we hope that you learned some new features or a new capability that you can implement today to diagram faster and gain deeper insights from those visuals. Please let us know in the chat if you learned something new today, or your eyes are open to, a new possibility. We would love to hear. If you would like to learn more after this webinar, we do have some additional resources for you. So my team, actually, I plugged this a little bit earlier, has created an intelligent diagramming badge that digs deeper into these advanced features. So that conditional formatting and data linking that Blake and I were talking about. So you can register right now. It's on demand, and you can get some hands-on practice and earn a badge and post it to your LinkedIn. And we also have a great article if you want to learn more about the features that make Lucid the most intelligent visual collaboration platform. So if you're kind of, on the fence about different platforms or solutions, that's a great article to read to see all that Lucid has to offer. So we'll send these additional resources along with the webinar recording, just as a reminder, within the next few days. Thank you all so much. This is awesome. And we're not done yet. So now we're going to put Chloe, Blake, and myself in the hot seat, and we're going to do some Q&A. Chloe and Blake, are you ready?
I'm nervous, but ready. We'll see.
As long as no one's asking about my chocolate preferences, I think we're ready.
Awesome. So cool. Okay. So Blake, let's talk a little bit about the quick diagramming. So let's go through, and we have a question about the keystrokes for that added these shapes. So can we just go through that one more time and show everyone how we would execute that? And there's also a question about how we would do it on a trackpad. So another great question.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, so really the keystrokes are pretty simple, I think, for quick diagrams. So essentially the important thing is to make sure that you have a shape selected. So the way quick diagramming kind of works is the algorithm will kind of calculate where it's placed based off of the content that you have selected. So it's really important that that's kind of step number one. And the way it works on a trackpad is very similar to how it would work on a mouse, where it's like all you have to do is kind of hover over this line bud. So we have 4 line buds around each part of the shape. For the sake of this demonstration, we'll just stick with the right. And all you have to do is hover over, and it'll kind of give you that preview before actually committing to placing that. And all it is a simple click from there. Additionally, the other way you can kind of do it, I know there's some folks that are just love their hotkeys and are uber dependent on them, and like I love that. So there is accessible hotkeys as well, where you can kind of go ahead and hover over the shape again. And the nice thing is you don't have to necessarily memorize it every time, because when we go and hover over the line bud on the right of this shape, there's always going to be that preview underneath the Go shape, which will show you the correct hotkey command to hit and trigger that. And if you're trying to get kind of that branched view, just make sure that you are going back to the shape that you want to branch off of. So for this demonstration, yeah, let's just do that. And then we can go to the right again and click it, and boom, you're off to the races. Hopefully that was helpful. The one thing that we also kind of showed in this section that's not necessarily the most straightforward to find type of thing is the expand tool. So that is currently in Lucidchart only as a hotkey. And the way you would do that is make sure there's no content selected. So let's go ahead and click off that document. Perfect. And then you would hit the X hotkey while no content is selected. And then the kind of cue for me is the cursor will change, and it'll give you kind of that visual representation of where exactly it's at. So I hope that was helpful. I apologize. When I get excited, I talk very fast sometimes. So as you can see, I'm a little excited about this stuff. So hope that is helpful. If there's follow-ups, I'm happy to answer.
Can I jump in on this? I'll add this. We've seen a lot in the chat about the X expand hotkey being new to folks, which is awesome and true, because it's actually very new to the product. Indeed, so new that we have it now in both products, so you can access it in the LucidSpark cursor menu or via the X hotkey in either product. And I also saw a question that I wanted to call out about folks who have been frustrated that you can't expand swim lanes from the left in this case, right? Those where the titles are, you can't drag out, but you can use the X hotkey there. So if you click X, click right up next to that title and push everything to the right, you'll see your swim lanes effectively expand to the left, right? You can get this space at the beginning. So I hope that helps with a couple of the questions that we've seen in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. And then just one final, there was a question about the keystrokes for the stack of sticky notes. So great question. Over here in your Lucidchart tool set, you'll see this icon down here called Quick Tools, and you'll just click on Sticky Note Bank, and I just click it and drag it out. So I hold down, if you're on a trackpad, you just hold down, you're pressing down and then you drag it out. And then that stack just appears on your canvas and you can place it wherever you'd like. All right, awesome. Let's see. I'm just going through all of our questions that we have. Oh, this is a good question. So do all meeting participants, Chloe, if you want to take this one, do all meeting participants need to have a Lucid account to participate in whiteboard activities or to access a team board used outside the meeting? That's a great question.
That is a great question. So we do have, there are available guest sharing options. So yeah, this is beautiful. So if we go to, I think anyone with the link, no login required for guests. Yep, right there. So if you ever have a diagram or a document that you need to share with folks who are maybe in your organization, some out, some with Lucid, some without, there is still absolutely a way for everyone to see what's going on and get aligned in Lucid.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Then we have a question. What are the typical data sources that Lucid users leverage most frequently for automatic diagram generation? I'm going to say that one more time because it's kind of a technical question. So what are the typical data sources that Lucid users leverage most frequently for automatic diagram generation? Let's see. Chloe, is that like more of an
I'd be happy. So we have a number of, and when I talked about the ERD import, right, we were pulling data directly from our database management system. So kind of depending on the tool you're using, I also referenced very briefly our tool Lucid Scale, where you can import data from your cloud tool to get a cloud architecture diagram. So depending on the use case, there are a few different ways. When you're looking at really that data overlay that Blake showed and that Morgan showed, both where you can drag and drop data and then visualize it on the shape, add conditional formatting rules to adapt to it. I would say Google Sheets is one that ends up being a really powerful tool because you can keep it up to date in Google Sheets and have that reflect in Lucid with a bidirectional sync. So those are a few data sources I would highlight. Blake, Morgan, would you add anything to that?
No, I think you nailed it. I think just to kind of expand off of this view here, so when you're doing kind of that data linking and you have that tabular data set that you want, and I know a lot of folks use Google Sheets or Excel, and it seems to be that way. But really any tabular data set that is exportable via CSV, like I know that there's some options like within Workday and some other things where you can kind of within Workday kind of download a CSV. That is all accessible here and works well with Lucid. So as long as you can kind of get it at least in a CSV version, then you should be off to the races.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And along with that, Chloe, we had a request to quickly go over the automatic ERD diagram again. So would I need to open, I would need to open a new document in order to demo that.
Let's go ahead and do that just so that we can start from the beginning and make sure everyone sees it. So this is a perfect opportunity in a new tab to show them, Morgan, lucidchart.new. That's a favorite pro tip that I use about 6 times a day. So if anyone hasn't seen this, lucidchart.new, lucidspark.new will get you a new document, which it always helps me. You probably noticed this about me. I like to talk with my hands, and I always like to challenge myself to instead open a new doc and talk with a canvas. So let's go ahead, and this will also allow us to start from the very beginning. So Morgan, if you'd go ahead and click More Shapes, this is where you can go anytime that you're looking for diagramming assets that you're not seeing in your left-hand panel. So we have a lot of shape libraries available to you. Today, we'll go ahead and pull up the Entity Relationship Shape Library and click Use Selected Shapes. So this will give us the option to import from a database management system as we did. We also have a Salesforce import, but let's do that first import again today. We've been using Postgres, so that's what we'll click on. But if you see your database management system listed here, you could go ahead and select that. So this is the part that is a little bit of magic that we didn't show fully, right? But Lucid is giving us a query. And when you paste that query and run it in your database management system, it's going to give you results that you then get to give back to Lucid. So that's just a 2-step, put it in, grab it back process. So let's go ahead and click Next, Morgan. And we're going to choose pasting the output as plain text. In this case, you could also upload a file of those results. So we'll paste them here. Shout out to Morgan for maintaining all of the clipboard data that she is, and we can click import. So that's all it takes to get all of this information into Lucid. And then we can, and Morgan, if you'll just hover over a few of these line items, you can see that you can just get a preview of what tables will come out as you drag out different titles. I know that the whole point of this, right, is that we don't have all of our tables memorized. We can't hold this much information in our heads at once. So you can get an idea of what's over there. You can drag out, let's say, the event and the event team table, and Lucid will draw connections for you between those two tables. So did I answer questions for the person who asked the question? Is there anything more we can cover here? I'm just checking in on the chat. Perfect. Looks like some of you can write this query in your sleep. You're like, I don't need this from Lucid. I've got it myself, no problem. Anyway, this is awesome. We do have a question about the Salesforce import version. Blake, would you be comfortable addressing the Salesforce piece of this at all?
Yeah, so I don't have an example like easily accessible, but I can kind of speak to what it does at a high level. So this is kind of a direct integration that we've built out. And if you go ahead and kind of click into the experience on the left panel, the Salesforce button, so it's the import option below the other import option
in the ERD shape library.
In the ERD shape library, yeah.
I was looking down here and over here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, so this will connect directly with your actual Salesforce instance. So yeah, make sure you have everything set up, and there'll obviously be like the authentication steps that you need to go do, but this will connect to your Salesforce instance and work very, very similarly to how the example that Chloe just walked through as well.
Perfect.
But I also don't have Salesforce, so I wish I could show it.
That's awesome. Thank you both so much. Let's see. Another question we've had is, we talked about expanding the swim lane. We talked about, so expanding the swim lane is just the X key. So nothing else. So just the X key on your keyboard. Let's see. And then we showed the sticky note bank. Perfect. And then quick ERD. Perfect. Oh, can you explain more about the process of linking data to diagrams in Lucidchart? Where can I go to learn how to do this? Okay, great question. So if we start from let's see if I have a blank diagram. Yeah, so this is one we use to demo the ERD, but if I delete that, then this is what a normal Lucidchart document will look like when you are linking or importing your data. So you'll just go to your data panel over here on your left-hand primary toolbar, and then you'll select import data. And then right down here, it says learn more about data linking. And so this will take you to our help center, and you can also access Lucid team, our tech team in the background. If y'all have a link to, we also have some videos about data linking and some courses in Lucid training labs that can help you practice before actually doing it with your own data. If you don't want to, risk mixing things up with your own data, you can of course practice and try these different examples. So you just go to import your data. And then as Chloe and Blake have spoken about the Google Sheets, Excel, CSV, and I just want to add an additional plug that you can add multiple spreadsheets to one Lucid document. So let's say I have one spreadsheet in Google Sheets and another that's a CSV. I can upload them both and layer them both on top of my diagram. So for example, if I had I could add an additional data set to my mountain bike process diagram if I wanted to, include even more information that was on a different spreadsheet. That is mind-blowing to me. I think that is so, so cool that I can, rather than having all these disparate spreadsheets, I can have them all in one document, visualize all on top of each other, because that gives us the full big picture, telling the story of what our data is trying to communicate. which if you are also communicating with your stakeholders that maybe don't have all of the contextual information or the technical, background to understand and interpret those spreadsheets, they can understand it when it's visualized in Lucidchart. So adding to that collaborative, enhanced communication that intelligent diagramming offers. Chloe and Blake, anything you would add to that as far as, data linking?
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Aligned. If we took a video activity, all of our answers would be in the same spot.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so that was data linking, and then we have, okay, this is a good question. What are some specific challenges faced by organizations that use traditional non-intelligent diagramming tools? So, my understanding of this question is, what does Lucid offer that maybe other programs don't?
I'll jump in. I think a lot of what we've talked about today and a lot of what I've seen in the chat, right, is like, oh, that feature will help me do something I'm doing myself so much faster, right? There are times like when I think of conditional formatting, I can just imagine someone who maps out a flow and kind of knows, that step takes a long time. And we kind of need to talk about this. And we have this problem, and like has all of this information in their head. And one way to do it would be to create a color code manually and then create a diagram key manually and all of this stuff. But what Lucid offers is conditional formatting to do it automatically, to make that complicated understanding in your head visible to everyone. We also have diagram keys that will automatically update for you and give you a start on the process of telling people what colors mean to you in your diagram, right? So those are just a couple of examples, but I feel like the real mantra to me of what Lucid does is it takes stuff that was going to be manual and hard to get out of our heads and into documentation, and it makes it automatic and visible to everyone.
Love it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I echo everything. That was so good. Yeah, like for me, it's really like at the end of the day, I think our goal here is to kind of make your lives a bit better. That's why we love doing what we do. And if we can help you make better decisions faster and just give you a great experience and like a very intelligent experience at that, then that is what success looks like for us. So we're hoping we're working in that area for you.
Love that. Cool. All right. We have we had an AI generated summary of the webinar in the chat, which is awesome. I was like, thank you so much for the notes. That's really, really cool. Another great use of the AI. That's awesome. Right before we close, we're coming up here on the hour, but we just wanted to show one more time, because we have a soft place in our hearts for visual activities, that if you are in, I will also show you, I can switch back and forth between Lucidchart and LucidSpark seamlessly by using just this key up here, or this button up here. So you can see how the feature sets seamlessly switch, and then my canvas is still the same. So if I want to use a different tool set, like my shape libraries or things like that, then I just really easily switch between products. And then, as I was saying, one of our favorite, features is the visual activities. So using these for team building, someone earlier mentioned the pizza. Just something that we really love that is available in both products. So as you can see, the little rocket ship is also in Lucidchart. So just something to keep an eye out for. Lots of different options there. But that brings us to the end of our webinar. Chloe and Blake, anything you want to say as we sign off?
Grab yourself some chocolate. It's been so fun to be here. Thank you all.
Yes, that, and just a gigantic thank you from us all here on the call. So really appreciate you all taking time out of your day and kind of chatting and learning a bit. So thank you a bunch.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. We'll see you, and happy diagramming. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love seeing all the, oh, yep, heading for chocolate now. That's the spirit.